on a one-on-one basis as occurred during the Cold War between the US and the Soviet Union. What's being seen today is that the Chinese are developing niche weapon systems, what the Pentagon calls asymmetric weaponry.
The Chinese use of land-based missiles to attack targets in all dimensions is really the poster child of asymmetric warfare. This is what the US Navy today is struggling to cope with.
We have the world's strongest Navy. Our Navy today could probably take on all the other navies in the world and win, including the Chinese and Russian, conventionally. But the Chinese have been playing smart. They have been developing what's called asymmetric weapons.
That is, those are arms and capabilities that can allow a weaker power to defeat a stronger one.
They understand that they can't go to against the U.S. weapon for weapon, so they've gone to what is now one of our real weaknesses.
Part of the beauty of the anti-access area denial strategy is that it relies to engage in a mission kill against a carrier to make it inoperable. So if you think of the cost asymmetry there, it's not a game, it's not a competition that the United States can win. The Chinese can build many more missiles than the Americans can build in terms of carriers and ships.
The US Navy knows how to deal with Chinese ships or Chinese submarines that are attempting to attack a carrier battle group. We still don't have good answers to how to deal with a land-based ballistic missile, which is the long arrow or the long spear in the Chinese tent.
So to get our carriers close enough to defend our allies, we have to get them within less than 2,000 kilometers of the Asian, what's called the first island chain. Because it's our air power at sea that gives us that potent capacity in our Navy. If the carriers don't want to get close because they're afraid of being attacked, not just by their DF-21 anti-carrier missiles, but by cruise missiles fired from bombers, and cruise missiles and torpedoes fired from submarines, as they can hold our Navy hostage within that periphery of 2,000 kilometers, we have less and less ability to bring that power to bear locally.
China's anti-access strategy is not designed to go in for a toe-to-toe fight in the middle of the Pacific to sink the entire U.S. Pacific fleet.
They seem to be building up these capabilities really for two reasons. One, and probably most importantly, is to deter the United States from becoming involved on behalf of friends or allies in the region.
The goal here with their large family of missiles is designed primarily to increase our perceptions and our perceptions of the cost of intervening in whatever issue that China believes it cares more than the United States.
The point of these things is to, not necessarily to defeat the U.S. Navy, but to impress upon U.S. leaders that they will pay a heavy cost, even just for getting into the theater, never mind about how the battle comes out once we actually get into there, whether it's over Taiwan or over the Senkaku, whatever the contingency might be.
And so the increased perceptions and costs will then influence the strategic calculus in the White House.
So I think it's important to realize it's not as though China is trying to hold up a hard shield and keep the United States Navy completely out of the theater, keep it from going past Guam or whatever.
The goal here is to change the strategic political calculus inside the White House, because the perceptions of the increased cost and risk of intervening in Asia might induce decision makers in the White House to hesitate, hem and haw.
Whoever occupies the Oval Office, try to show that president that the cost will be higher to the United States than it's worth to it.
And decide perhaps not to act at all, or delay decision making to such an extent that it creates enough time for China to resolve whatever conflict that's engaged in its favor, and thus presenting the international community, and particularly the United States, with a fait accompli. It will create reality on the ground such that it becomes irreversible. That's what China is hoping to do, in my view. And therefore, this fulfills, I think, what the Chinese are hoping, which is to win without fighting. Essentially, to create this no-go zone such that no shot is fired in anger in the first place.
And so we see a picture emerging in Asia, a very dangerous and escalatory picture of a rising China that may well have expansionist intentions and certainly is developing both the asymmetric warfare and anti-access area denial strategies to challenge America for control of the Asia Pacific. The question, of course, is how should the world respond to the rise of Chinese militarism? It is a question that urgently needs our attention and one we dare not ignore.